And how did you first find your time at BBC? 'Cause you applied during your time at university, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I
Yeah.
applied in my third year of university because I remember reading on the website that normally it takes like a good few months for them to get back to you. So I
Mhm.
thought, well, I'm halfway through my third year. I'll apply now because then maybe if I'm lucky, they might get in touch with me by the time my degree is finished. But I don't know whether they just had not many applications that year, but they got back really quick and asked me for an interview. So I went for the interview and was successful. So I got this 4-week work experience placement, which was whilst I was still doing my degree at
Mm.
Manchester. And so my kind of halls of residence and where all my lectures were just a bit further up the road from the BBC along Oxford Road. So I would literally get up first thing in the morning, go to the BBC, doing my work experience. At lunchtime, I would run to my lecture group, like print off all the notes and everything, then try and do as much as I could in my lunch break, come back to the BBC and then get home. And then until stupid o'clock that night, I'd be learning my degree as well as doing
Wow.
any other prep that I needed to do from my work experience placement. But for me, I was just so excited to be a part of a creative industry. I mean, it was not lost on me walking along those corridors and seeing presenters that I'd watched on telly come in for brainstorms, and going to brainstorms myself, sat with other people, coming up with new ideas, thinking, wow, these people actually come up with ideas that I see on the television and I'm
Yeah.
sat with them. This is
Yeah.
mad, to be a part of that process. And even now it's, I've worked in, I started work experience in 2005. So I've worked in the TV industry for many years now, and it's still not lost on me, that sense of excitement and the fact that you can affect change. It
Mm.
can be difficult at times. It's not without its challenges, but to be in an industry where you can be so creative and be sitting, be walking, be chatting, come up with an idea, and then that could potentially lead to being broadcast on TV or radio or in a podcast is really exciting.
That is really exciting, mad too. Like, I know your third
Yeah,
position was Secret Life of the Shop, was it?
it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
brilliant. And how did
it
you
was
feel going into
wicked.
that? Yeah, that's so good.
It was really fascinating because my boss was a chap called Richard Mesa, who's like within the documentary field, a really well-known documentary maker. He used to do the first kind of behind the scenes documentaries of Katie Price before she started doing loads of reality TV, and he's got a really interesting style, and he's quite introverted. And so he was doing this documentary like obs doc called Secret Life of the Shop, which was about a department store in Middlesbrough called Psych. And it was only me as the runner, Richard as the documentary maker, and Julie as the researcher, just the three of us. And we would travel around everywhere together, and it was quite a surreal experience, really, because Richard was very, very quiet.
Yeah.
It took a while to kind of understand him and get to know. So me with my kind of psychology head on was really trying to kind of peel back the layers to kind of
Yeah.
understand this really fascinating personality, because he was the type that he would look at anything and you could tell the cogs were whirring, his brain was ticking like, okay, how could this be an interesting story? And watching him with contributors, seeing how he would ask them questions, or he would be really okay with uncomfortable, what I would call uncomfortable silences, as in he'd ask a question and they might give him a very quick answer, but then he wouldn't say anything after that. He'd just leave,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
eventually that person, that contributor, would say something, would offer up more information, which again I think is an amazing psychological tool. And he was, I learned a lot from him in
Mm.
terms of how to interview different types of people and being okay with those moments that might feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
yes, it was a great start into the industry, really, to be very immersed into a small team, and take it from there. Then I went on to larger teams of different formats and stuff. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
I can remember it vividly. It was an amazing experience.
Oh, that is so good. That's amazing. And how does it work then in terms of taking it from, say, idea to actually TV? Like you mentioned brainstorming sessions there. So what's the whole process? What's the whole process then of taking an idea to the screen then? What goes into it?
Well, there's various different ways nowadays, but within production teams, you have what they call a development team, where their kind of sole aim is to be creating new TV ideas. And kind of every so often there'll be kind of the commissioner's brief, so they'll say what kind of things they might be looking for. So it might be that, there's been a load of property shows recently, right? The next thing we're looking for is X, Y, and Z. And then a development team with those kind of briefs will go and think, okay, this is our priority. Let's try and come up with some ideas around that. And so development teams would do, a lot of market research. They'd look at what's interesting within the industry at the minute, what's kind of hitting the hot points in terms of what people are enjoying watching, how can we adapt that, how can we make it something different. They'd have brainstorms with other production teams. So I used to be a producer in development, and we would organise various brainstorms with other production teams within the BBC, but also have brainstorms with outside organisations, with everybody and anyone to get a real feel for what's going on and how we can bring that to life. And then once you'd go on to write what they call a treatment. So you'd have your kind of top line of what the idea is about, a bit of a summary, and then you'd write the format points, what you'd see within that 60-minute, 30-minute program, who your presenter might be, who your experts might be. And then they have commissioning rounds. So sometimes there's kind of specific times where there'll be a commissioning round where the development teams will go and pitch these ideas to a commissioner. If that's inside the BBC, with independent production companies, they will have certain times where they'll pitch to the BBC or someone within the BBC team. And then if sometimes the BBC or ITV or Channel 4 will have pots of money where they'll say, we like this idea, we'd like you to go away and make a pilot. So we'll give you X amount of money to make a pilot, which is essentially like a taster tape. I've just finished a pilot at the moment with ITV, which we're waiting to hear back from the head of ITV as to if it's a go or not. So with the taster tape or the pilot, you make your mini series to kind of show, well, this is what it would be like. Deliver that to the commissioners, the powers that be, and then they give you a yes or a no, really. And then there's other there's other ways where ideas get commissioned, where I've had meetings with exec producers or commissioners just going for lunch or contacting and say, look, I've got this idea around this, for smaller kind of VT ideas, film ideas that might fit into a bigger program, and things have got commissioned that way. So there's lots of creative opportunities, and it's interesting because some things can take a long time and others can get commissioned quite quickly. My mum and I have just had a program commissioned together. We did the pilot for that in September of 2020, and then we found out that it was commissioned in May of 2021, and we've been filming that ever since. So it depends, really. Sometimes it can be really quick, sometimes it can take forever. It just depends.
I actually asked my next question there, because I was going to ask actually if there's like a kind of like average time of how long programs are made. I mean, are some obviously pushed to be made a little bit quicker depending on what the subject might be about, for instance?
Absolutely. Like, for example, last year in May 2020, I finished doing Crime Watch. Then I got a call from one of the commissioners at BBC, and because we'd gone into lockdown, the BBC wanted to create a daily live magazine show off the back of what was happening, and the team had 10 days to make that, literally just 10 days to put that on air from start to finish. And we did 6 weeks of daily live shows for an hour. So that turnaround time was extremely quick. The team that did that were amazing. But because that was in response to something that was going on within the world, it was the responsibility of TV makers to actually reflect that on what we're watching, and they knew that there'd be an appetite for it, so they had to get it out as quickly as possible. And then the reverse of that is the ITV pilot that I've been working on. I think they originally started that about 2 years ago, and we're still waiting to hear if that's something that will go ahead or not. So it really depends on the demands, what the climate's like, the temperature of the appetite for things, and the need really as well, how important it is to get this on air sooner rather than later.
Of course. I mean, for moments like that, Helen, how difficult is it for you and the team to get it out so quickly? How much pressure is there on you guys to get it out there as soon as possible?
Oh, there's a heck of a lot of pressure. I mean, especially from the production team. I mean, the program I was talking about there was last year was health. It was called Health Check UK Live on BBC One, and the team worked non-stop, like tirelessly to get it done. But what I always, and this is again what I find amazing about these teams and my colleagues, are that you're working with amazing people. You're working with amazing people that know that they need to get the job done, and those amazing people connect with other amazing people, and you all work together to, sometimes you do it, you're thinking, how the hell is this going to work? But it does, because you have to.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
one, you have to do it. But yeah, the pressure is there, and for those types of teams, the producers were working well until the early hours, up stupid o'clock in the morning, and again and again and again, and we're doing it until that series was over. So there's definitely a lot of burnout within TV, especially with those types of programs that do have quick turnaround times. Even the show that I've just finished with my mum, it was a slightly longer turnaround time, but the key thing with that one was, when the show did get commissioned, they were asked to do 15 45-minute episodes.
Wow.
We started filming it in May and they had to deliver it in September. That is not a lot of time to deliver 15 times 45 minutes. It's a lot of content. It's a lot of contributors that need to be booked during a time of COVID, where people are getting pinged left, right and centre on their phone. So 1 minute they're free to do it, the next minute they're not. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure involved.
That is, but just hearing what you have to go through in order to get it out there is incredible. My hat goes off to you fully for doing that, honestly.
Oh God, it's not just me, honestly. There's a whole team behind it. They're the real hard workers.
Oh, you all are. But when it comes to like live presenting, for instance, and how difficult is that to multitask, say like talking and listening to the guest and then reading the auto cue, to having something in your ear at the same time, say, okay, quicker now, quicker. How difficult is that for you to do so many things at the same time?
I actually really enjoy it. I mean, when I first started doing it, it was like, gosh, this is different. But I really just thought, okay, let's focus now. And it is multitasking. It's a weird one, because you're focused, but you're focused on like 5 different things so thoroughly, all at the same time. And but I really enjoy it. I love the challenge of almost having to separate your brain. So listening to someone saying, you need to wrap this up in 5 seconds, when the person that you're talking to is literally just about to go into another story, and you're thinking, okay, what do we do here? Do you know what I mean? It's the challenge, and it's the adrenaline. It's like doing that, when you rub your stomach and pat your head, but like on steroids. Like it's full on. But weirdly, I find, like, people have asked me, how nerve-wracking is it? Did you feel kind of stressed when you're doing it? And weirdly for me, live television is the opposite. I feel when I'm doing live television, that is probably, for me, when you're actually doing it, when you are in it. I mean, the build up and the lead up can be quite nerve-wracking and stressful with all the prep and everything. But when you know that you're prepped and you're ready to go, and you count down and you are bam on air, for me, that is probably the calmest and the most present that I am. Naturally, I'm an anxious person and I worry about everything. But when I'm doing those live TV shows, I really enjoy it. And I do actually really think it helps my mental health, because you don't have the opportunity to think about anything else but what you're doing. You have to have 100% focus on that. So I can't be thinking, oh man, did I leave the washing on? Oh, what did I cook for tea? Oh, I need to message them back. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. You've got to be thinking on what you do. You've got to be listening, really present, and listening to, whatever someone's saying to you off the back of you, asking them a question, listening to the director, giving you instructions, being aware of the timings. It's like making a beautiful cake, and when all those elements come together and you come off air, you just think, wow, I created something. Well, not me personally, but something really amazing was created there. And the beauty of it after that is it's gone. With pre-recorded things, you do it and then you're like, oh, that wasn't quite perfect, so can we do it again? That wasn't quite perfect, so can we do it again? With live television, you've just got to make it as great as you possibly can in that moment, and then it's gone, and then it's on to the next. So for me, I find that it's difficult. As you say, it involves a lot of multitasking, but I really do. That's probably where I'm at my happiest.